Next News, breaking news.
Democrats just showed America exactly where they stand. And folks, it's not with us. While TSA agents and Border Patrol officers went weeks without pay protecting your family, Chuck Schumer and his radical left caucus did everything in their power to defund the very agencies keeping criminals out of your neighborhood. But here's what they didn't count on. President Trump just dropped the hammer with an executive order, and House Republicans are loading up a response that could expose the Democrats' open border agenda once and for all. And what they're trying to attach this bill has Schumer absolutely terrified. So let me tell you exactly what's at stake here, because this isn't just Washington drama. This is about your safety, your community, and your family. For over 41 days, the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol have been working without pay. These are the heroes stopping fentanyl from reaching your kids' schools. These are the agents catching child traffickers at the border. And Democrats, they're treating them with what Stephen Miller just called derision, hatred, and contempt. And think about what that means for you personally. With 25 million illegal aliens flooding across our borders under Biden's disastrous open border policy, how many are in your town right now? How many gotaways are living in your neighborhood? Democrats aren't just playing politics. They're actively trying to abolish the federal agencies responsible for investigating fraud and protecting Homeland Security. This is about whether America remains a nation of laws or becomes a sanctuary for criminals. The radical left has made their choice crystal clear, and it's not for the American people. And while Democrats play dangerous games with our national security, there's another threat that they don't want you thinking about. What's happening to your hard-earned savings? We have new numbers out of Washington show inflation is on the rise again. Another threat to you, your savings account, and your retirement. And ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even just last year? So what does the next decade look like for you and your savings? And while politicians in Washington fight over funding, your purchasing power keeps shrinking. And if your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. Gold has kept up with inflation and many periods outperformed. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They're helping Americans protect their retirement with physical precious metals. And right now, qualifying accounts can receive a free 10th ounce American Gold Eagle just for opening an account. Don't let Washington's chaos destroy your financial future. Visit nextnewsgold.com today and take control of your retirement security. Now let's get back to this absolute betrayal happening in the Senate, because what John Thune just pulled has House conservatives ready for war. So here's what the mainstream media isn't telling you about that midnight vote. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, a supposed Republican, rammed through a DHS funding deal at 2 o'clock in the morning that funds everything except ICE and Border Patrol. He did it with a skeleton crew, no formal roll call, burning the midnight oil to jam House Republicans. But here's where it gets interesting. House conservatives aren't taking this lying down. They're pushing to attach something that has Democrats absolutely panicking. Let's see what it is. From Gunther Egelman, we have John Thune is getting eviscerated by House Republicans. House conservatives are furious after Thune and Senate rhinos rammed through a DHS funding deal in the dead of night. Let's see.
The Senate burning the midnight oil, just passing funding for most of the Department of Homeland Security. For detail on what this all means, let's turn to our expert, Fox News Chief Congressional Correspondent Chad Pergram. Joins us from the Capitol. Chad, we just got it passed, right?
Well, they just passed this through the Senate. This is something that they had been working on for hours and hours and hours, and they did it without even a formal roll call vote. They did it with just a skeleton crew inside the chamber here, and this might be the beginning of breaking this impasse with the funding for the Department of Homeland Security that has gone on now for 41 hours, 2 hours, 41 days, 2 hours, and about 37 minutes. It's really remarkable here that this is the first genuine movement. This funds everything at the Department of Homeland Security except funding for ICE and also a little bit of money.
I will say, in the big, beautiful bill, ICE is funded for a few years, but that's baseline funding, that's staffing, that's whatever. That's not all the extraneous things that they need for new recruits and things like that. So they did exclude ICE funding in this bill. So John Thune's midnight maneuver left ICE and CBP in the dark, enraging House conservatives. Meanwhile, Trump stepping in with a new order to stop the chaos and support TSA agents despite Democrat resistance. President Trump posted on Truth Social. Let's see here. So the radical left Democrats and their leader, crying Chuck Schumer, I'm going to read off the screen here, have made it very clear where they stand, and that this is on the side of criminal illegal aliens and not the American people. They are refusing to fund immigration enforcement unless the Republicans agree to their open border policies, which will never, ever happen again. They almost destroyed our country, allowing 25 million to enter from prisons, mental institutions, and insane asylums, those that are drug dealers and thousands of murderers, many of whom have killed more than one person, because the Democrats have relentlessly created a true national crisis. I am using my authority under the law to protect our great country, as I always will do. Therefore, I'm going to sign an order instructing the Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen, to immediately pay our TSA agents in order to address this emergency situation and to quickly stop the Democrat chaos at the airports. It's not an easy thing to do, but I'm going to do it. I want to thank our hardworking TSA agents and also ICE for the incredible help they have given us at the airports. I will not allow the radical left Democrats to hold our country hostage any longer. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald John Trump. All right, with Trump's decisive action to restore order, let's look at how the House took a stand for security voting overwhelmingly to fund DHS, with every Republican on board and Democrats pushing back. That was a long one to read, guys, but it was a lot of good, important context, so I wanted to make sure that was there. So the House just passed funding bill for DHS. The numbers are insane. Let's see. Looks like the vote's going through.
On this vote, the yeas are 225, the nays are 187, present is 13. The resolution is adopted.
There you go. Passed the bill. So after the House vote for DHS funding, now Republicans are now pushing the envelope even further, demanding voter ID requirements as they send the bill back to Congress. This will be a floor fight, and Thune needs to do it. I still can't believe we didn't have anybody else to become majority leader in the Senate. Some GOP lawmakers are pushing to force voter ID and proof of citizenship into the DHS funding bill, then send it right back to the Senate. The American people want voter ID. What does Thune and the Senate Republicans not understand?
I think what's going to happen is something's going to happen today. It'll get back over to the Senate. I think that because you didn't fund the apparatus that's supposed to be actually preventing child sexual abuse, they're not funding the men and women in Border Patrol who work the border either. So those will have to be taken care of, and then maybe we can throw in the voter ID portion. But this is going to get back to the Senate, I hope, today or tomorrow. And then the Senate, should you see it this coming week in a pro forma session. In the meantime, I'm hopeful that the executive order actually pays TSA and we can get all of these problems resolved in short order.
I hope so, too.
So deal to end the shutdown comes days after airlines removed the fast tracking for Congress members. Interesting how that timing worked out. If they can't get all their privileges with their perks, then they're going to actually come down and talk about it because they have to wait in line with us plebeians, us serfs. Oh, how disgusting that they have to merge with the actual people that they represent. As House Republicans gear up with demands for voter ID and full border protection, the stark contrast surfaces between Democrats, labeled by some as engaging in legislative terrorism, shutting down DHS on flimsy ground, says Stephen Miller, our spirit animal. Stephen Miller is so good on policy. Let's see.
That is taking place in Congress with congressional Democrats fighting relentlessly to abolish the very federal agencies that are responsible for policing and investigating fraud, as well as all matters of homeland and national security. I see, of course, a new secretary who has just been confirmed to DHS, my good friend, Mark Wayne Mullen. He now takes command of a department whose men and women have been working without pay for weeks on end to protect and defend the American people, to protect and defend our coastlines, to protect and defend our families. Well, they've been treated with nothing but derision, hatred, and contempt by congressional Democrats. It is legislative terrorism. It is one of the greatest abominations that has ever occurred in the history of this country, and it's to the everlasting and eternal shame of the Democrat Party. Again, thank you, Mr. Vice President, for your leadership and vision in establishing this task force. I'm proud to serve on it under your leadership.
Again, they would rather us be unsafe and kept in harm's way than just fund the bill. We have war with Iran, military engagement with Iran. We've got their sleeper cells inside the United States. We've got airports maxed out. We've got terrorists happening terrorists are just inside the country from Joe Biden. We've got people trying to flood our communities with fentanyl from the water, from the sea, from everywhere else that they possibly can. And we need the Department of Homeland Security. The Democrats don't want you safe. They want their votes. They want those illegals counted in it. So amid accusations of legislative gamesmanship, the so-called rhinos in the Senate left the door ajar for a jam job in the House as hardworking men and women at ICE and Border Patrol remain underfunded. From Andrew Colvett says, forget about the Senate foregoing Easter recess for the Save America Act. Republican leaders have zero will to show the base that they're willing to buckle down and fight.
Won last night, and typically no one wins government shutdowns. Democrats, they did not get some of the ICE reforms that they asked for. Republicans did not get full DHS funding in this. ICE is left out and Border Patrol is as well. Now, John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, he said that this was not about getting people necessarily to support the bill. His charge last night was really to make sure that there weren't objections when they moved this on the Senate floor about 2:12 this morning. There are only so many off-ramps in Congress, and lawmakers saw this one coming down the highway, and they did not want to miss that one. This is why the Senate has left town. This is a jam job for the House of Representatives. Either the House will take this or leave this. This has not been pre-baked with the House of Representatives. And we also don't know the disposition of the President of the United States. As I always say, this is about the math. This will take a robust combination of Democrats and Republicans to pass this bill. And keep in mind that yesterday there were lots of Republicans on the record saying that they wanted to fully fund DHS. They were not for this. So how this is sold to the House today, we just don't know. Guys?
It's probably because they know the American people are going to absolutely lose their minds when they don't do this. From Mario Nuafal, we have, in the wake of the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, Senate Democrats were clear. No blank check for lawless ICE and Border Patrol. Let's see.
Mr. President,
I recognize the Democrat leader.
in the wake of the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, Senate Democrats were clear. No blank check for a lawless ICE and Border Patrol.
ICE and Border Patrol defended themselves against somebody trying to ram them with a vehicle, and then the Peretti guy had a gun and he was going to pull it on the ICE officer. And this is lawlessness? Any cop in any municipality across the entire country, if a vehicle is driving at you, that is a deadly object. Use of force is authorized in those situations. And because it's not conveniently, good for the Democrats, they'll just use whatever they can to spin it in every which way they can, because the laws mean nothing to the Democrats, only when it's protecting one of their own.
This long overdue agreement funds TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, CISA, strengthens security at the border and at ports of entry, and keeps Americans safe. This could have been accomplished weeks ago if Republicans hadn't stood in the way. Democrats held firm in our opposition that Donald Trump's rogue and deadly militia should not get more funding without serious reforms, and we will continue to fight for those reforms. I'm very proud of our Democratic caucus. Throughout it all, Senate Democrats stood united, no wavering, no backing down. We held the line.
We held the line for 41 days, is what he said, making sure that America was not safe, that terrorists can do whatever they want inside this country, to defund the very people and agencies that keep you and your children safe. He's proud of them holding that line, folks. So let me tell you what this really means, guys. Stephen Miller called it exactly what it is: legislative terrorism. Democrats are holding America's homeland security hostage to protect illegal aliens, not even American citizens. And Chuck Schumer actually bragged about it, saying Democrats held the line against what he called Trump's rogue militia. That's how he describes the brave men and women of ICE and Border Patrol. But President Trump outmaneuvered them all. He signed an executive order to pay TSA agents directly under an executive order for an emergency use, taking away their leverage. And then the airlines took it away too. And now House Republicans are loading up full ICE and a CBP funding with voter ID and proof of citizenship requirements attached. The Democrats' choice is now crystal clear for all of America to see. They chose criminal illegal aliens over American citizens, and they're going to keep doing that. But here's your takeaway, Patriots. We just watched 95% of House Democrats vote against funding for Homeland Security. We watched Chuck Schumer brag about blocking Border Patrol funding. We watched John Thune try to sell us out with a midnight backroom deal. We also watched President Trump take decisive executive action and House conservatives gear up to fight back with voter ID attached. This is the battle for America's soul, and you need to be part of it. Share this video with everybody you know. And if you guys want to stay alert to what's coming out, text RAW feed to 844-840-4963 so we don't have to battle the algorithm for you to see our videos. You guys need to see where each party stands with Americans and which party stands with illegal aliens. And drop a comment below. Should Republicans attach voter ID to every single spending bill until Democrats cave? Say yes or no. If you want to wear your support for America First proudly, check out the Next News merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and remember, stay informed, stay free. God bless.
The system controls information. Information control is power. I want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.